Hi folks, I'm Owen, Measurement Analyst here at Launch, and this video is to introduce some of the top features that I find within the new GA4 platform. Now, as Universal Analytics will be leaving us in a few months' time, I think it's time to get used to this new platform, and a couple of these reports I find really useful to use on a regular basis. And the first one I'll go to is under the reports tab, and it looks at your traffic acquisition. So if you go there, click acquisition, and we'll click on this one first. With traffic acquisition, you'll see it's quite a familiar sort of layout to the old Universal Analytics. You've got users and sessions. It's defined by the different channels that they first came to the site from. And over here, you've got engagement metrics. Now, these ones are new to GA4. And what GA4 means when it talks about an engaged session is a user that has lasted, a session that has lasted longer than 10 seconds on a page, or a conversion event, or had 2 or more screen page views. Now, the most useful of these metrics I find is engagement rate. This one's actually replacing the old bounce rate in most of these reports, and I actually find it more useful because, as you can see here, it shows you which of your channels are receiving the highest engagement. The other report under acquisition is user acquisition. This report's slightly different, and it's focusing only on new user acquisition. And as we see here, as it says first user default channel, it's reporting back the first channel that the user came from to your site. As we know, site visitors will visit your site on a number of occasions. So this is a good, useful report to see where they first came from. You can, in these reports, also drill down further into the detail by adding these secondary dimensions with the plus icon. I find this more useful too to look at specific channels. So to do this, rather than clicking down there, you click on the little search bar there. I'm going to look at referral, and then add your secondary dimension. And I'm going to look at source medium, and it's going to be first user source medium because it matches the report I'm looking at. And what you can see then is that you've got the different referral sources for your traffic. You can also see further down, you've got events and conversions. And you can, with these, filter out which event you want to focus on. The next useful report I find is under engagement, and this one looks at pages and screens. What does screens got to do with a website? Well, not much, because GA4 is also designed to work with mobile apps. So when it talks about screens, it's only really relevant to if this GA4 or if your GA4 property has been set up to be tracking performance on a mobile app. As we can see further down here, it's sort of a similar report, but it's focusing predominantly on views and users and the engagement that was performed on that page. And you can, if you want to, change this by page title. So you can focus on looking at which are the most views received on a particular page. I find this report really useful for blogs. So seeing which of your blog articles have received the most number of views in a date range or received the highest engagement time. You can also see which events and conversions have occurred on those pages too. Now, on conversions and events, you do have 2 specific reports that can basically, I don't really find they show that much. You can go to here and you'll see a list of different conversions, and you've got a conversion count. And if there's revenue attached to a particular conversion, as we see down there with purchase, that's where it would be shown. I find it far more useful to report on conversions via the acquisition reports, because here you can filter out to just show, for example, where is it? There it is, purchases, and it's come across, and there we can see which of your channels are receiving the highest number of conversions or purchases. The next place I'm going to show you is, as I mentioned a minute ago, you've got users visiting your site on multiple different sessions. So they may be performing conversions at different points within their journey on the site as they visit for the first time, second or third. So to see how the different channels rate in terms of the contribution towards a conversion, you need to look at a report called Conversion Path. And if we click down there, here we can see the Conversion Path report, which splits your conversions in a sort of credit-based system. And we see there how many the conversion credit is here, pointing towards direct as a late touch point. And it splits your conversions across an early, mid, and late touch point. It's interesting to see here how earlier on the earlier mid, you can have referral as more of a contributor, and also organic as kind of the main contributor towards those earlier touch points. It may look totally different on your GA4 property. It's more dependent, it's entirely dependent on how the user interacts with your site. So the next two features I wanted to show on GA4 are some new features which I do find quite useful. First one is right back on the home page, and you've got insights and recommendations. And this is really where GA4's machine learning capabilities are coming into play, where it will make or suggest insights that you may not have necessarily considered. And as your GA4 property grows and gains more data and more historical data, these insights will become smarter as they get more used to the seasonality of performance of your website and how your users interact with it. If you want to, you can create some custom insights, and that's by going up here to the Manage section. And one here that's been prepared earlier is transaction anomaly. You can set up anomaly detection via this way, which can be really useful to identify if suddenly tracking has stopped working on the site. And that's quite a useful feature, but it does take time for it to gain more knowledge about how users use your site. The last feature I wanted to show was under, which is over here, is Explore. This is the Explorations tab or section of the site of GA4, and this is where you can build custom reports. And this kind of works in like a drag and drop method, where you've got a whole load of dimensions and metrics. And if we just actually look into it, you've got 167 predefined, and you've got some custom dimensions that have been added to this property too. So essentially you can add any one of those and drag them or drop them into one of these spaces. So if we look at what we've got there, we've got event name and first user medium, and then we've got active user and event count. But you could add any one of those different ones there and create or change a custom report. And you can up here share this report with any of the users that have got access to the GA4 property, and you can change the date range up here. I think lastly, just wanted to say, getting used to GA4, it may take time, but best place to actually look at it initially, if you've only just getting started on your GA4, is to actually use the GA4 demo accounts. So these are available via Google. Have a look at them as I've just done here. And for any sort of custom setups or new events or conversions you would like setting up, then please talk to the team here at Launch. Thank you.